Hello, how y'all doing? I am back again. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but look at, I have changed my background a bit so that it's just a little less cluttered. We no longer have my art supplies in the way. And look at this fun little sign I found. Because I always post on Mondays. It was the only sign that said save it for Monday. Wow, isn't that fun? Yeah, so let's get this started. So we're gonna be talking about the Cecil Hotel today, which I kind of knew about. My boyfriend is the one that suggested that I do a video on this. And I only thought there was like a couple things that had happened there. I didn't realize the extent of all the craziness that has happened at the Cecil Hotel. So I thought it was I was like, well, this is gonna be a short video. Like, I'm just gonna, talk about a hotel? No, apparently this is a thing. Like, this is a big thing that, again, I didn't know about. When I watch true crime stuff, it's not about buildings. It's about, like, specific cases. So I had never heard about this. So that is gonna be our topic today. We're gonna talk about the Cecil Hotel. So the Cecil Hotel was constructed in 1924. And it was marketed as kind of someone's hotel of choice to tourists and different people that are away on business. Inside, the decor was very lavish. There was big stained glass windows. There was marble flooring. There was a huge grand entrance. And for its time, it was a very expensive, beautiful hotel. It cost about $1 million to build it, which is a lot of money, especially in 1924. That's a lot of money. And you know, for the first 5 years, this hotel was doing great. Unfortunately, then the Great Depression hit and everything just spiraled and the Cecil Hotel just went downhill. So after the Great Depression, you know, there's this huge economic crash. The Cecil Hotel found itself very close to an area labeled as Skid Row. And this is basically just where a lot of the poor and homeless people lived. It's estimated that there was as many as 10,000 homeless individuals who were living right by the Cecil Hotel at this time. And you know, with how society is, you know, people look down on those who are struggling. So this hotel became undesirable. So in 2007, new owners bought this hotel and decided they were going to fix it up. So they fixed up the hotel and then renamed it to Stay on Main in 2011. So it's no longer called the Cecil Hotel. Same building though. And yes, Stay on Main is still open to this day. So that's just a bit of history about the hotel. Now we're going to get into all of the things that have happened, all of the people that are connected to this hotel. It's a lot. Like a lot. I'm gonna try to motor through some of them as fast as possible, and I don't know how many like pictures and videos I'll be able to find because some of it's fairly old stuff. But let's get this started. Our first case begins in 1931. So on November 13th, a man checked into the hotel under the name of James Willis from Chicago. He stayed at the hotel for 6 nights. And then on the 19th of November, he was found dead in his room, and he had ingested poison capsules. Turns out his name wasn't actually James Willis, it was W.K. Norton. And this is the first documented death that occurred at the Cecil Hotel. So then in September of 1932, a maid of the hotel was just going around cleaning rooms, you know, just doing her job. She entered the room of Benjamin Dodich, maybe. He was 25 years old. She found him dead, and he had a gunshot wound to his head. There was no note, and no one could really find a reason as to why he would have done this. Like, it was very unsuspecting, which is typical for suicide. Like, it's very rare for someone to leave a note when they suicide. It doesn't happen that often, so it's not really that out of the ordinary. Yeah, so that was in 1932. So fast forward to July of 1934. A former sergeant in the Army, Sergeant Louis D. Borden, was found dead in his room, and he had slit his throat with a razor. He was 53 years old, and he had actually left quite a few notes, basically talking about how his health was really declining and he just didn't want to live anymore. So then in March of 1937, like, there's a lot, guys. I'm not even gonna lie, there's a lot happening. Grace Margot fell from the 9th story of the hotel out of a window. She fell onto all of these like telephone wires and they were wrapped around her body. So she later died at the Georgia Street Hospital. Police were never able to determine if her death was suicide or if it was an accident or maybe something else happened. They just don't know. So then in 1938, a Marine fireman, his name was Roy Thompson, he checked into the hotel, stayed there for several weeks, just living his life. There was no indication that anything was going on in his life. Then one day, 35-year-old Roy decided to climb to the top of the hotel, and he just jumped out of the window and ended up landing on the skylight of the building that was next to the hotel and died. So then there was a Navy officer, Erwin Neblett. He was 39 years old, checked himself into the hotel, and he was found dead in his room. It was determined that he had ingested poison. And so this happened in May of 1939. So then in January, so it's already a lot, like I feel like I'm just like walking through a death toll right now. There's still so many, it's ridiculous. So then in January of 1940, there's this teacher. She checks into the hotel. Her name is Dorothy Seeger. She's 45 years old. She also ingested poison, which is just a lot. Like how many people, I didn't realize that this was such a common thing that like so many people ingested poison to suicide. It's just crazy. Like that's a lot. It's one that I'd never even really heard of. Yeah, that's wild. Anyway, so she was found unconscious in her room, but she was still breathing. They rushed her to the hospital, but she did not make it. I'm just gonna sip some water quick. So, 1944, this 19-year-old woman, Dorothy, she checks into the hotel with her boyfriend. He was a shoe salesman. His name was Ben Levine, and he was 38 years old. So Dorothy and her boyfriend are in this room, or in the room. She was unaware that she was pregnant, apparently at the time, she says. So while they're staying at the hotel, she ends up going into labor. She testified that she didn't want to disturb her boyfriend who was sleeping at the time, so she goes into the bathroom and gives birth to her baby. She testifies that she thought that the baby was dead, and so she ends up throwing it out of the window. And it landed on the roof of one of the buildings that was next to the hotel. Yeah. And I don't know, like we'll never know what exactly happened with that and if it was a stillborn or not. But yeah, that's just disturbing. And also, I kind of feel bad for the buildings that are next to the Cecil. Quite a few bodies land on their roofs as a result of all the craziness that happens. Like I definitely would not want to own a business next to this hotel. 100%, easy. Okay, so this is one that I didn't know, and maybe I should have, but Elizabeth Short, I'm sure many people have heard of her. She's also referred to as the Black Dahlia. Very well-known case, very well-known. Her remains were found like in a grassy area right by the hotel. Her death is said to be connected to the Cecil Hotel. She was seen in the bar of the Cecil like a couple days before her murder. In January of 1947, and hers was gruesome. Maybe I'll do a video on it one day, although it's so well known that I don't really think I need to, like everyone knows. And this is a case that's never actually been solved, but she was found like in the middle of this grassy area, cut in half, and she had huge scars, like her whole mouth had been cut into a smile all the way up. And I've seen, I don't know if any, I'm not going to put a picture here. I've seen pictures of it and it is fucking disgusting. I can't. And the fact that this one's never actually, they've never found who did it is just, it freaks me out. Like the amount of murderers that are still just out there living their best lives. The Black Dahlia happened in January of 1947, and then in November of 1947, Robert Smith goes to the hotel. He's 35 years old, goes to the 7th floor, and just like jumps out of a window. So, you know, then the Cecil Hotel like had a solid 7 years. Solid 7 years where like nothing really happened, you know? They were just kind of being a hotel. Or I guess nothing like reported happened. Who fucking knows, honestly? Who knows? But October 22nd, 1954. Helen Gurney, she's 55 years old, goes to the hotel to stay, and guess what happens? Guess what happens? I'll tell you, she fucking jumps out of the window of the 7th floor. She just jumps out and ends up landing on the top of the Cecil's marquee. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to research it and throw a picture in here so we can see what the fuck a marquee is. Marquee is. Marquee. I don't fucking know. I have no idea. I don't know. She also registered though under a false name. Margaret Brown is what she went under, but that was not her name. Which happens a lot too. Tons of people going in there, not giving their real name. So then the Cecil almost made it 10 years. 10 years without having a death. They were 2 years off. So close. Unfortunately, on February 11th of 1962, Julia Moore, she was 50 years old, jumped from the window of her 8th floor room and landed in the 2nd story light well. I don't know what that means. So that was in February of 1962. Then we go to October of 1962, October 12th to be specific. A young woman named Pauline is at the hotel with her husband, Dewey, and they're in their room fighting, like just screaming, having like just a huge argument. Dewey ends up leaving, slams the door behind him. No one knows really what was said, but clearly whatever happened just absolutely destroyed Pauline. She was very distraught after the fight and ended up throwing herself from the window. Again, the amount of people that have thrown themselves from windows. Not only though, listen to this, like not only does Pauline end her own life, because she doesn't land on the cement. She lands on a pedestrian that is walking, and just as she's falling, happens to walk under her at the exact time, and she ends up killing him in the act. This man's name is George Gianni. Again, I would like to know the stats on how often that happens, because that is like so unlucky. That's just weird. I don't know. There's weird happenings at this place. And honestly, there's more. Like, this isn't the end of it. So, June 4th, 1964. A hotel worker, her name was Pigeon Goldie Osgood. She was a retired telephone operator, was found murdered in her room. She had been raped, stabbed, and beaten to death. She was very well known around the area because she fed the birds. That's why her nickname was Pigeon. Hours after her murder, there was actually a man, but he was found walking around the area just covered in blood. So he was arrested and charged, but nothing came of it. He was cleared of the crime and it still remains unsolved. I don't know what his reason was for being covered in blood though. I don't know, it seems strange. So then, the hotel, pretty good stint. So that was in 1964. December 20th of 1975. There was a good stint of nothing happening. A woman, she is still to this day unidentified. She was about 23 years old, ended up jumping from her window, which was on the 12th floor, and fell onto the 2nd floor roof of the Cecil Hotel. She was registered under the name of Allison Lowell, but that obviously wasn't her true identity. We will never know. So then Mr. Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, very popular serial killer, chose to live at the hotel for a lot of weeks in 1985. He was a Satanist and is well known for just very brutal, disturbing murders. He would use tons of different weapons like guns, knives, machetes, tire irons, anything you could think of, he had it. And he was known for breaking into people's homes in the middle of the night and murdering them. He was charged for 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and 14 counts of burglary. They follow the timeline. He'd been staying at the Cecil during this time. And he was sentenced to death, which is good riddance, honestly. So then another serial killer decided that he was going to stay at this hotel. So I don't, like, is this coincidence? Do they all just like decide? I don't know. This is wild. Like, did it just have a reputation so people decided to stay there? I don't know. But 1991, an Australian serial killer by the name of Jack Unterwegener was a guest at the hotel. He was originally only convicted of one murder, but then when he was in jail, wrote several papers. I guess he was good at writing, so it caught the attention of this Austrian literary nobility. I think I said he was Australian at the beginning. He's not Australian, he's Austrian. I'm fucked. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's Austrian. Anyways, his writing caught the attention of this like man that was in power. They decided that they thought that he was rehabilitated. And so they lobbied for him to be released, which happened in 1990. He was released and went on parole. Terrible idea, big mistake. While he was on parole, he did start a career in writing. Like, that did happen. He started writing, but he also loved killing people, and within a few months went back to killing people. So in total, his count went from 1 to 10 to 12 people he killed, all because he was a good fucking writer, which is so stupid. And 3 of the women were actually strangled to death while he was staying at the Cecil Hotel. After his capture and his conviction, he was found dead in his cell. He had hung himself. So there you go. If you're a good writer, even if you murder people, you can be released. Awesome. So then on the 1st of September, 1992, a man was found dead in the back alley of the Cecil Hotel, and authorities believe that he was either pushed or jumped or just fell from the 15th floor of the hotel. And the identity of this man was never found, ever. No one, nothing. They have no idea. No idea what happened. So this next one's actually a really popular one again that I'm sure lots of people have heard of. So this happened in 2013. On the 19th of February, there was a 21-year-old Canadian student. Her name was Elisa Lam. She went to the hotel and stayed there and then just went missing. Like, nobody knew where she was. The residents of the hotel started complaining about the water quality, saying that it was gross and it smelled weird, and it was, they were just like, something's wrong with this water. It tasted funny. Workers went to the roof of the hotel, looked into the water tank, and found the naked body of Elisa. And she'd been missing for about 3 weeks, so she was in there for 3 weeks and the residents were using that water that had a body in it for that long, which is, I couldn't even, that's just not right. There's been tons of videos done on this because the authorities did rule that this was an accidental drowning. I've seen a bunch of videos on people trying to figure out if it was a drowning, if someone put her body in there, what happened. There's footage of her in an elevator right before her death, where it almost looks like she's in a state of psychosis or she's having some hallucinations. It's very strange. I'll put it in here in case anybody hasn't seen it, but it's a very popular video. She's like pushing buttons and looks like she's having some kind of like psychosis. Yeah, very strange behavior though. It's very odd. And so then this is the last recorded one that I could find. On June 13th, 2015, a 28-year-old man was found dead outside of the hotel. Some people believe that he had like jumped from the hotel, but a spokesperson from the county informed the Los Angeles Times that like the cause of death had not been determined, so we really don't know. I also don't have a name for this man, so maybe he's also never been identified. And that is it. That was a lot. That felt like a really long video. I don't know. That felt like a lot. A lot of just information. I just gave you all this information. And that is the Cecil Hotel. So obviously because of all of these deaths, it is very much believed to be haunted. People have made tons of videos like staying at the hotel. I personally will never be freaking going to that place because as much as I don't think I believe in that stuff, like if it is true, That is the last place that you'll find me. There's no way. No fucking way I'll be going there. People are crazy. That's the Cecil Hotel. It's wild. I hadn't even heard the extent of all of it that had happened. Like so much death. So much death. I just feel like it's one of those buildings that you should just take down. And obviously there's lots of speculation around why all of these things have happened. People have attributed all the deaths to maybe the location and the fact that it was in like a very impoverished area. Paranormal reasons is also what people have said. Maybe it was just like a well-known spot. Like everyone knew that it was like a good place to, I don't know, end your life. I don't fucking know. I don't know. And that is it for me. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with other people. This is only my third video doing this new like true crime direction. So if you haven't seen my last two videos, check them out. I will have them linked in the description just so you can, I don't know, check them out, see what they're all about. Yeah, and if you have any cases that you'd like me to cover, send me a message and I will, yeah, see if I'm all about it. That is it for me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful evening, a wonderful whatever the hell time of day it is for you. Yeah, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.